Hey, hello to all you regular Buck listeners and new Buck listeners. This is Two Old Bucks. I'm Dale.
I'm Dave.
And we're on episode 7.
It's episode 7 in case unless we decide to scrap it or something.
Episode 7, season 2.
Tentatively episode 7.
Anyhow, we are rolling here. What's up, Dave? What's happening today?
Well, I just wanted a shout out to Old Buck Wayne. I got a terrific letter from Wayne. We used to be colleagues, worked at the same place. He was higher up on the food chain than I was, but it turns out he's a buck. He's an old buck. He's a listener. So that's great. He wrote a good story. He identified with my Russia KGB story. He was in charge of setting up a JV over there.
He was a traveler like you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. He was a traveler. Okay. And he mentioned that he had a guy similar to my KGB. This was like the partner, okay? But, the more I read his letter, it's like, oh, no, this guy was KGB also. Or he maybe not KGB, but he was
so he traveled,
the Russian guy.
He traveled to similar places.
Yeah. And then what surprised me is after I had retired from the company, a couple of years after I retired, he was on a mission in Bolivia to tie up a contract down there with a miner down there, and I had gone to Bolivia.
It's one of these countries you hear very little about.
Oblivia, it's Oblivia, and it was fascinating because he shared some of the same experiences I did. So it got me thinking. Maybe I'll just talk a little bit about one of my Bolivian experiences. And again, I went down there several times, trying to. Work out.
I'm trying to picture exactly where that's located. No, it's in South America someplace.
South America. It's landlocked. Doesn't have a...
Between Chile and Colombia or something down in there?
It's like inside of Chile, yeah.
In the mountains? That old mountain?
Oh, yeah. The Andes Mountains rip right through it.
Okay.
Yeah, you fly into La Paz, okay? And it's like 10 or 11,000 feet. First thing they do when they land, well, as they come in, they disconnect the oxygen masks that would drop down.
Right.
Because the elevation of the airport is high enough to triggers
the oxygen mask to drop. Oh, yeah. My soul.
So they disable those. They open the door, and it's like, wow, I'm just on my third drink or something.
I'm picturing this plane is coming into these high mountains, and it's so high up, by the time they land, they're screeching to a halt, before they run off the end of the mountain or something.
That's right. I mean, they fly through a notch in the Andes there. It's like, oh, we're going right into the mountains, and they bank across there. Landing is not so tough. Taking off is another thing. They won't take off with a full gas tank.
Right.
So they take off with a partial gas tank, and then they land in Santa Cruz, which is at a much lower elevation, and tank up.
Right.
At least that's what they did on my flights. If you ever timed how long a plane takes to take off, it's like 25 seconds.
Air is thin up there.
The air's thin there, so it's a good 45, 50 seconds, and you're just rolling and rolling and rolling.
And everybody's saying, are we driving there?
Yeah. Oh man, it's like, are we ever going to get off the ground? Anyway, but that's not really my story.
I'm really glad that you made it through all those days. We wouldn't be here considering all this precarious situations you found yourself in.
Yeah. He'd drive us to his mine. It was on the side of Mount Illimani.
Truthfully, Dave, I always felt you had a safe office job. I swear, I just pictured you. Little cushy office job in a nice swivel chair someplace, safe and sound. You're out there risking your life.
That would have been no fun at all. That would have been no fun at all. So yeah, we drove in a like a 4x4, like industrial strength thing.
They picked you up there.
This is just a dirt road that's chipped into the side of the mountain range there. It's only 12 miles, I think. The drive is like 12 miles. It takes 4 hours to get there, something like that.
Weaving up and down around.
Oh, yeah, you have to drive very slowly, and you're weaving. And some places the road's washed out. The water would be gushing down, and they'd say, okay, there'd be like 4 or 5 of us in the thing. He says, everybody get out, but the driver. I'm like, why?
To be safe, crossing this little passageway
so the
truck will roll off the mountain.
So if the water washes him down, only the driver will die with the vehicle. You guys will be okay. then, of course, you have to slosh across this raging water that's coming down the mountainside. So it was really a different world, really different world. And I particularly remember this one occasion where I went with my engineering manager, and we were going to stay overnight a couple nights at the mine, where we were trying to set up a sampling technique. Anyway, it's not important what we were trying to do. We were trying to get tungsten.
I'm just picturing a coal mine. That's all I can visualize.
Yeah.
So it's a hole in the ground. Big hole in the
So
ground.
it's a cinder
is it
block.
An open pit mine, or is it a hole?
No. This is hard rock mining. This is drilled into the side of the mountain. This is all.
Yeah, so it is a tunnel of sorts.
Yeah, these are tunnels or adits that are chipped in, that are broken in. Actually dynamite. They're dynamited into the mountain at various depths, elevations.
Mm.
We hiked up to about 13.5, something like that. Boy, talk about a fish out of water. You're gasping for breath.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I wanted to mention was, so we had this overnight thing planned. Again, it was 1940s cinder block building, no heat, just a couple electric light bulbs dangling from wires in a couple of the rooms there. Now, on the way, stopped at a little village, and they said that the rebels are active in the area right now. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
The rebels are active right now.
I've actually been in that rebel active right now. So what is that? How does that affect me?
And the Bolivian guys, rebels, don't worry about the rebels. Okay. So we took food up. We had a nice dinner. A couple of the Amaran engineers who stayed at the mine and played flamenco guitar for us. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was time to go to bed. Dawn and I each had our own little bedroom with one light bulb dangling from a cord in the middle of the room, which was, the light bulb was on all the time.
Interior plumbing, I'm sure, right?
Well, maybe. There was a pit that was called the bathroom. That you used if you needed to go to the bathroom. There was it was an actual special room.
Primitive.
Now the electricity came from he had a little hydro power unit. The snow melt coming down the side of the mountain would drive a generator, and that's what provided enough electricity to light up a few rooms and do some stuff like that.
Mm.
So it's time to go to bed. Have about 16 blankets. Okay, it's cold. You're at
13,000 feet.
Yeah, we're up there. So it's about 3 or 4 in the morning, and you know what happens to old guys about that time.
I know what happened to old guys now about that time. You should have been a relatively young guy when you were doing it.
Well, I was younger, but we had a lot of wine that night, I guess.
Oh boy!
So I woke up. I had to go to the bathroom, and as I got up, the light in my room, which was still on, the overhead light, it started flickering, and then it went out. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as it went out, I heard, "Oh!" This loud groan, scream. Mm. It was Don, the other guy.
Oh.
And here I am. It's total darkness in the middle of nowhere, and I'm thinking, the rebels are here. They just gutted Dawn.
This is the worst case scenario, right?
And I'm next.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, man. I really thought about that for a few seconds. And I thought, well,
you know what ran through my mind? I'm thinking, if in pitch black, and you don't know your way around, you're now going to the bathroom.
Yes.
So
no
that
idea.
Could be a hazardous experience.
Yeah. So then I hear Dawn swearing, like, okay, he's not dead. Well, again, what had happened is he had to go to the bathroom like a minute ahead of me. And as he was going there, as the lights went out, he didn't know where he was. So he walked, he smacked his foot right in, his toes right into the wall, and then he hit his head on the wall. So that was what the moaning and groaning was. But it was quite an experience. We survived the night, and
that was the last night you were staying there. Obviously,
we said we're not staying any more nights.
Right.
Yeah, this is enough nights. Yeah, so we drove back. But anyway, it was quite an experience in the middle of the Andes Mountains.
You think that's still like that down there? You think it's still pretty much that primitive?
Well, up in the mountains like that, yeah. I mean, a lot of people, the natives live indigenous, the Amarans are the indigenous people from that area.
Oh.
Oh, here's another good one. So this is a different trip to the mine. We're coming around a bend, and there's a truck broken down coming in the other direction. Now you can't drive past. It's not wide enough in this particular area. Some places vehicles can pass each other, and they all know where you can do that.
But not where he was broken down.
But not where he was broken down. The Carlos, the mine owner says, "Oh," he says, "I sold that guy that truck." It's like, okay. So
how'd you get out of that one? You have to back up?
Well, here's what we did. Then there was other vehicles coming and stacking up in both directions, trucks, and so we all get out of our vehicles, and somebody has a big bull rope. Somebody appears with a bull rope, big hemp rope, like 2 inches or so in diameter. We tie it to the axle, and we all get hold of this. It's like a tug of war, all right? And we pulled this thing, pulled it against the side of the mountain. Okay, so
the broken down vehicle.
The broken down vehicle. So there would be just enough room for other vehicles to get through. So as after we did this, we're standing around, and there's 2 or 3 other guys. They're the little guys. They're like a foot shorter than I am, and they're talking to each other. And the guy says something to me. And here's the ugly American, the dumb American. I say, "No habla español." And the guy, it was honest. The guy looked at me. He looked at his buddy. They all started grinning. They're elbowing each other in the ribs. "No habla español. No habla." He wasn't speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
He was speaking his own language. So
you kind of generalized.
And I kind of figured that out.
Anybody in South America or something would be.
Yeah, I figured that out, and we really had a good chuckle over it.
Was this place producing enough valuable ore for your whole process to merit this kind of effort?
Well, it was an important source of supply.
Oh, okay. So whatever trickled out of it was still worth something.
Yeah, it's a long story. We didn't get a whole lot out of his actual mine on the mountain, but he acted as a collector to buy tungsten concentrates, or concentrates from all the other little guys around. So it was
okay. So there was a
and it was
that
a
was a reason.
Yeah. So it was a long tumultuous relationship.
Well, all I know is that Roughing It used to be going up into the mountains of the Catskills or something like that, and having to trudge 6 or 7 feet from the car to the cabin. And then you had the gas grill, and of course there was electricity there. If not, we had So,
but anyway, I'm
trying to visualize that.
That's enough of Oblivia.
Sounds like something you should do, not me.
Yeah, it was an experience. It was an experience. It was like, it was like the train across Russia. It was. I'm glad I did it. Won't do it again. Kind of thing.
Better you than me, kind of experience.
Let's move on to something else here.
Something that gets in my craw. Is that it? Something that.
Yeah. You talked about. You mentioned something about sarcastic sayings.
Something that troubles me.
That's all that you would tell me. So again, I'm going in this same as the listeners here.
Okay. Now follow me here. I meet a person who has taken what I consider to be a sarcastic saying and using it improperly.
Taking a sarcastic saying.
Taking a sarcastic saying and using it improperly. Well, here's a question for you. What do you think I mean by a sarcastic saying? And I'll give you some. What do you think I mean?
I think you mean a person says something and they're not really meaning what they're saying.
They're trying to. It's like
poking,
a little bit of a
they're
punishment
ridiculing.
They're
ridiculing.
Yeah, sort of a ridicule. Okay, I'm going to give you some example. The one that set this all off was, "There you go." This is what set me off. There you go. But how about not so easy, is it?
Not so easy, is it?
How's that working for you? Wasn't that easier than asking me? I told you so. That's a classic there.
I told you so.
Didn't I tell you that would happen? I guess I was right.
Like do you have a Do you have a tape recorder buried in my house somewhere?
No, but you know what I mean. Everybody
says.
says,
Everybody, my voice on them, though.
everybody says these things. And I said to myself, I said to the girl who was saying this, I said, you're using that improperly. I said, you're saying that somebody falls down a flight of stairs and you say, there you go. I said, no, that's not how you use that saying. You got to use it properly. You say that. When you succeed at something, you say, there you go. Like you want to encourage people with these sayings. But
that just flashed something into my head here when you talked about stairs. When I was a kid, we had a 2-story house, wooden steps, that were covered.
Yeah, I had the wooden steps too.
Okay,
yeah.
so
slippery wooden steps.
We had these rubber mats on them, and we were going to upgrade to actual carpeting on the steps. So we were in this period between the rubber runners and carpet. So it was just the wooden steps. So my dad's going to work in the morning, and I hear this boom, 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 boom. And I jump out of bed, and my mom jumps out of bed.
Yeah, because we slept upstairs in those houses.
Yeah. And he's lying down the bottom of the steps there. And my mother looks down and she says, "Did you fall?" Yeah. And he's like, "No, I always come down this way." So I think that's kind of a sarcastic saying.
That's a kind of a sarcastic saying, but I got in the habit one time of saying, "I told you so." I was using that a lot. In fact, I got to the point where someone said, "Please, whatever you do, don't say that to me," because, like a youngster, you're saying,
Yep.
"I told you so."
Told you so.
And I think my dad's favorite one wasn't that easier than asking me? Wasn't that easy? And that one came into play very prominently one time when I wanted to check to see if something was hot. Like if you want to see if a kettle is hot or a pot is hot or a stove is hot. And instead of asking the chef, I went ahead and touched it. I grabbed it with my hand, thinking I'll find out if this thing is hot. And,
we know how that story ends.
I'm doing a dance and everything, and then he says, "No, wasn't that easier than asking?" So I'm just saying to everybody who has a propensity for using these sarcastic sayings, that they should try to use them in a proper manner,
proper context,
and don't be too repetitive with them. Don't say them don't repeat them too often, otherwise they lose their sting. But if you use them correctly, if you use them correctly, you can make your point. Like
you can really degrade the other person.
You can really make your point.
Always important.
But she kept saying, "I told there you go."
There you go.
That's not the right way to use that. So. There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
And that's my, that no longer is in my craw. Now it's unstuck, and it's back to you at Central Command over there.
I'm now tasked with trying to figure out what we're going to do next here.
Your department,
Yeah. Blame it on Dave. So we're double winging it here today.
You got the clock in front of you.
I got the clock. Yeah, I do have the clock. So. Yeah, I'd like to. This is something that we were going to talk about in the last episode, but we ran out of time. So one of our listeners wrote in and asked us if we had any examples of our fathers imparting this wisdom, did they walk the talk? And I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, I do have one.
This is from a letter that's provoking this.
A letter from afar,
okay.
From one of our loyal listeners.
Okay.
Anyway, I was around 12 years old. And my dad was stressing the importance of getting an education. Now, he never went to college, okay? But he told me it was important. It was really important that I go to college, that I get an education. He said, that's your ticket to the future. He admitted he was not a great student in high school. He said he kind of goofed off. He was a bright guy. He was a voracious reader. Yeah, he was you. He was you.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, I mean, he said he got a kick out of getting into kind of a logic battle with the teachers and, making the teacher mad or, cry even or whatever. He said I was just, I was young and stupid, and I thought I was being clever, and I wasn't. And,
we all.
Yeah. But he was recognized as being a real brain, one of the brains in his class, although, not the honor roll guy or anything like that. But anyway, to the story, he said one day the principal asked him if he wanted to take this test. That there was a series of tests being given in Pittsburgh that day, and it was going to be the winner of the person who scored highest on all these tests would get a full ride to the University of Pittsburgh. So he says, well, I looked at the newspaper. The Pirates are playing home that day, afternoon game that day. So great. So he says, yeah, sign me up. So he goes down. He says, I took the 2 tests in the morning. I cut the afternoon test, went to the ball game.
Yeah.
Then he pulled out his yearbook. And opened his yearbook, which I still have. And I still have his yearbook. And he opened it, and inside the front cover is an old yellow newspaper clipping pasted there. Said he placed 4th in one test, 5th in another test. Now this is the western half of Pennsylvania. Okay, these are students from State College West. Placed 4th and 5th in those tests. He said, if I would have taken that afternoon test and placed in the top 25, he said, I would have been the guy to get that scholarship. Yeah.
So he went to a ball game instead.
He went to a ball game instead, and that's kind of one of the things that he always regretted is, he missed getting a higher education.
But you did well. He left you with the right DNA to parlay the gray matter into something. You didn't do
clearly
too bad.
that story stuck with me, and I listened to him, and I took advantage of the wisdom that he gave me. So there he was. He admitted something that he did wrong, and hoped that I wouldn't do it wrong.
There you go. Do you know that do you remember we had a guidance counselor?
Mrs. Hunter?
In our school, yeah. We had a guidance counselor.
I do remember Mrs. Hunter.
Do you know I went to her and she said, what do you want to be? And I said, I want to be a philosopher. You didn't know, you didn't know that? She said, what do you want to be? I said, I want to be a philosopher.
Okay.
And she said, can you spell philosopher?
You're done.
And I said, no. And then she said, can you spell truck driver? And then I was doomed. I was doomed, and I became a good truck driver too.
Driver.
But to this day, I could have been a philosopher. I could have been,
could have been a contender.
I could have been a philosopher, telling other people what they do wrong. So, but anyhow, it didn't work.
But you're kind of still doing that anyway.
Yeah, but it didn't work out for it. Never
you're just not getting paid for it.
Doesn't pay.
Just not getting paid for it. Yeah. Anyway.
Moving anyway. Segue. Anyway, moving right along.
This is something.
Hey, Dave. Dave. I told you so.
I told you so.
I told you that. What happened?
Oh, here's something totally out of context. That just,
go ahead.
I don't know why this came into my head. My sister sent me a note. We swap emails back and forth. She's old school email like me.
We are really prevaricating today, aren't we?
Yeah, I don't know. We're trying to fill up the time here.
Yeah.
She said, I got 2 pigs. I said, you got 2 pigs?
Am I hearing that correctly?
Pigs, oink,
oink.
Yeah,
okay.
I said, okay. I said, she says, their names are, I named them. She said, they're Bacon and Bits. That's the name of her 2 pigs, Bacon and Bits.
Oh.
I said, cute names. I said, what do you?
So they're pets.
They're pets. I said, their pets are gonna. No, I'm gonna eat them. I said, how can you eat something that you named? I mean, think about it.
Yeah, that is difficult, isn't it?
If you should be pig number 1 and pig number 2.
Or you can always say I'm having bacon. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I don't know where that came from.
I don't know where that came from either. But that's an interesting.
Here's what I wanted to talk about.
My regards to your sister and her courage to. Raise some animals.
I read a story, and I get down the rabbit hole on the internet all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little article about Brian Baumgartner.
Does not ring a bell.
Better known to you as Kevin on The Office.
Oh, okay.
This was the heavy set, balding
I
guy, kind of an accountant. You couldn't really tell what anybody did on that show anyway. But
you had to follow that show. I was
all right. He is, in 2020, he was the #1 income earner on the website Cameo. All right. So
the website is called Cameo.
The website, is called Cameo. I had no idea that such a thing would exist. So you pay your money, and he will record a video for you, a short video, and it can be a birthday wish, or it could be an anniversary, or it can be just congratulations on your job promotion. And typically, somebody will buy this for a friend. Okay, so he'll record this, and then that'll be like a gift that they'll give the friend.
And so they email it to him or something, or how do they get this? It's just
yeah,
a video.
Yeah, he records the video, and then you can download it, you can share it, you can do whatever you.
So wait a minute, I got a light one on. So people could send an email to buckstooOld@gmail.com and say, will you please say happy birthday to somebody for me for money?
For money. Well, here's
we don't do for money.
It's not a bad
don't
idea,
work
though.
for
We
money.
could.
Oh, geez.
But he charges.
Scary thought.
He charges $195. All right, and he's going to make he made over $1 million in 2020. They said he was the number one guy.
Unbelievable.
I think Gilbert Gottfried was number 2. Can you imagine that? I can't stand that guy's voice.
The Aflac duck.
Yeah, that's what he sounds like.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
isn't that interesting that somebody would do that?
I got curious about this, and I thought, I got to find out what this Cameo website's all about. And like anybody was ever anything or wants to be something is apparently signed up for videos here. All right, and the what they charge varies from $1. Okay, you can get $1. You could pay $1 to get a video greeting from D.D. Sorvino, whoever that is. No idea who that is. So I thought, well, I'm just going to see how many people, and they have different categories. They have, actors, celebrities, athletes, different categories, and they have thousands.
You're scaring me when
thousands
you
of
have time
people
to figure this out.
Yeah. It's like, what do you do when you're retired? So I thought, okay, I'm going to see. They start at $1, and it goes up to
$195 apparently.
Well, no, it goes up to Caitlyn Jenner wants $2,500.
Caitlyn Jenner to do a video.
Jack Nicklaus is $1,000. So I thought, okay, I'm going to start at the bottom here. So I sorted them by lowest price to highest price that they charged. I'm going to see how long can I go before I actually recognize any of these people. Okay, so we started off with $1, and that was D.D. Sorvino.
So you're basically going from the bottom up to see if you recognize a name
at what point
of somebody you want a web video from that you would willing to pay money for.
That I recognize them as
okay.
Yeah, that person was on this TV show or was in this movie or something. So I got in. I was 600 people in. We were at $15. They were at this point up. They were charging $15 for your video. And I still didn't recognize anybody, so I thought, okay, I'll be up all night. So I skipped to $100. You can set a sort. So I said, well, start at $100, and I'll start going down.
Still didn't recognize?
No, I did. At $100, Malcolm McDowell.
That sounds familiar.
Remember him, Clockwork Orange? He was the lead,
lead
dude in Clockwork Orange.
I've long forgotten those names.
Well, here's the thing. That was 50 years ago. He doesn't look the same.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about him, they have a couple videos that you can watch where he actually did happy birthday or whatever. His was pretty good. And he starts off like saying, like, not what you expected me to look like, was it? Well, that was 50 years ago.
You can preview what they would look like or say.
They have examples, yeah.
And then you tell them what you want them to say it about.
Yes.
And you pay your money.
Yeah,
and
that's
you get
apparently
this
how
video.
it works. So you send in some notes and you say, I'd like, and then they have like so many days to get back to you and say, I'll do it or I won't do it. Something like that. I thought that was kind of interesting. Other ones that I looked along the way, and I looked at a couple of that Brian Baumgartner did, and actually they're pretty good. The quality of them is good. He's not just holding his phone up in front of his face.
You're really giving these guys a real plug here
I could see why he's number one. He puts the extra effort in. He talks about, you went to this college and we played you guys in high school or something. It was.
He's making all this stuff up or something?
Probably. But it was really well done. So, hats off to Kevin. Some other ones that I looked at. For $500, you can get Chevy Chase. Okay.
Oh, my.
Now, Chevy Chase is really beat up today.
You actually took
he got old.
You previewed his.
I looked at his. Yeah, I looked at a couple of his. Yeah.
I would probably.
Gilbert Gottfried. I watched that one
Aykroyd
with
would
the
be good.
volume
I
off.
could probably listen to Dan Aykroyd.
Then comes
some of the old Saturday Night Live stuff.
Gary Busey. Okay.
Oh, geez.
Now, Gary Busey, in his videos, he looks like he did 50 years ago.
Oh, really?
He always looked beat up. So.
Yeah.
And he's $350. Actually, and his were decent. He would talk to you and he'd joke around and then he'd sing "Happy Birthday" playing his guitar. So I don't think I'd spend $350, but somebody did. And
I wouldn't.
A lot of these that I watched, they were pretty pathetic. Pathetic.
We'd have to tell the listeners out there that one time I sent a completely fictitious email to a group of friends that I said that you were going to do something.
Who, you as in me?
Yeah, I remember that the hat. I sent an email to a lot of people and said, Dave is going to provide a free
hats.
Free hat.
Free hats for everybody.
And
this was like a reunion or something?
Yeah, and this was I just said, and he's going to provide a free hat. And the hat that we were looking at was like $60 a piece with this big logo and everything on it. Something and someone said, "Wow, that is super! I can't wait to get mine."
I can't wait to get the hat.
He is still waiting for it, folks.
For the hat. He shows up. He says, "Where's the hats?"
But
There's no hat.
The funny part about this, it was within minutes of making this false claim on your behalf, which I often do.
Yeah, thank you.
I made this false claim on your behalf. Within minutes, a follow-up email appears with the exact hat we're looking for and the right logo and all this stuff on it. And I said, this guy has too much time on his hand.
Well, I just proved that once again. If anybody out there with too much time on your hands,
too much time.
Go on the Cameo website. I'm sure there's something for everyone there.
Oh, my soul.
Brett Favre, $400. Okay, I'm not going to talk anymore about that.
Okay.
That's enough about that.
I think we kind of...
So what do you have to say? Anything that you have to say?
Do we have any letters or anything like that you want to talk about?
I'm pretty...
We got any time left on our budget?
I would just bring up on the the Polish Pony website. I saw they've expanded the website a little bit, and they've got a little, they're trying to raise some knowledge or make people aware of the Abers-Dremel syndrome. They have a whole page on it, and they show the symptoms. So you might want to go on the page and determine if you have those symptoms. If so,
this is a symptom that the pony gets.
No, these are
people.
Yeah, they're trying to raise awareness for this Abels-Dremel syndrome.
Oh, so it's that sounds like a serious endeavor there.
I guess.
Do we have any letters from afar?
I don't have any letters. I'll bet you might. Do you have any?
I do have one here.
Let's give it to us.
I have one from a guy we'll call Dean from Far Rockaway, New York. And apparently he went to the same school we did, but he was way behind us.
Hard Knocks.
No, we were talking about Miss Neff, the teacher.
Oh, okay.
He said, I had Miss Neff also, and I had her, she was teaching during the last year she taught there. And he mentions that he had a older brother.
Got it.
And he says she was great. And this is something I didn't know. She also taught his mother.
His mother?
Which would have been she had been here a long time. So I didn't know that. And he mentions, we talked about the basketball coach, Mr. Kokenauer.
Mr. Kokenauer, yeah.
Actually, he said Mr. Kokenauer taught math to him as well as his own son.
So he went to school with Mr. Kokenauer's son.
With
Is that what he said?
Mr. Kokenauer's son.
Okay.
And that he had passed away while Dean was in school. Also, just to shorten the letter up, he gave us a AA rating on the podcast. He, coming from the territory we inhabited when we were young, he was familiar with it. And so he thought it was pretty good. And he also apparently liked your story, just your story, that one you wrote about the drinking contest.
Oh, the buttermilk contest, yeah.
He found that to be funny, and I think because he knew the location, he could picture the where we were at the time, and he also mentions that he would have been 7 years old when all that happened. So he thanked us for reminding him of the old days, and all in all, we want to thank Dean from Far Rockaway for his letter.
Now, does he get any special recognition?
I know I didn't have any. Say what?
Oh,
yeah. I
what?
see. Now you're over here motioning
giving
something.
hand signals.
He also
Is he inducted in anything?
Yeah,
any societies that he might be inducted in?
it was a long letter, some of which I'm leaving out. That clearly he clearly fell into belonging to a membership, in good standing. We'll induct him into the membership in good standing of citizens representing in alternative positions within some of his letter. So
congratulations, Dean.
Congratulations, Dean. You are
in.
now a full-fledged member of citizens
of whatever it
representing
is.
all.
Yeah. Catfish running around the pool. Yeah. CRAP. All right.
Anyhow, that's it on my side.
All right. And that's it on my side. And with that, I will say I'm Dave.
Hey, I'm Del.
And we are
Two
Old Bucks.